I always thought our old house was cozy. It had belonged to our family for several generations, and I knew every corner of it, every creak of the old floorboards. But recently, I began to notice something strange. It started with a quiet whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind whistling through the cracks in the windows, but then I realized that the sound was coming from inside the walls. It was barely audible, like a soft conversation, but I could never make out the words. It was as if someone was talking to themselves, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, but it was all so quiet that I could barely hear it. I decided it was just my imagination and blamed it on stress, but it only got louder. One evening, I was sitting in the living room reading when I suddenly heard someone quietly say my name. "Igor," whispered the voice. It was gentle, but at the same time, creepy. I jumped up and started listening. Silence. I thought I had imagined it, but when I sat down again, I heard the voice repeat, "Igor, why aren't you answering?" I dropped the book and ran out of the room. I searched the whole house but found no one. My wife was asleep, the children are in their rooms. I was alone. The next day, I decided that something had to be done. I invited a repairman to my house to check the walls. He walked around the whole house, knocked on the walls, listened, but found nothing. He looked at me like I was crazy and said, "It seems you just have a very vivid imagination." I felt like a complete idiot, but the whispering didn't stop. On the contrary, it became even more insistent. It began to respond to me. When I talked to my wife, I heard the whisper commenting on our words. When I scolded the children, it laughed. One evening I couldn't take it anymore. I took a hammer and began to hit the wall from which the whisper was coming. I hit it with force, feeling anger and despair, and when I made a hole, I saw something that made my heart stop. Behind the wall was another wall, but it was much older. It was the wall of a long-forgotten room. I enlarged the hole and looked inside. It was dark, but I could make out a few things. Old furniture covered in dust, a broken doll, and a closed coffin. I felt a wave of horror wash over me. I remembered that there had never been a room in that spot in our house. I started looking through the documents but found nothing. And then I remembered that my grandfather had told me that our house was built on the site of an old one, where a very strange family lived. Their little daughter, she never left the house. I heard the whisper again, but this time it was very clear, and I understood the words. "You found me, Igor. You came to me. Now you will be my friend," whispered the voice. And I saw the lid of a coffin in the corner of the room move. I heard quiet laughter coming from there, getting louder and louder. I ran away from the wall and screamed. I screamed until my throat hurt. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't because I heard someone slowly approaching me. When I looked back, I saw that the door to my room was open and a little girl was standing in the doorway. Her face was pale and her eyes were empty. She was wearing an old dirty dress. She looked at me and smiled. "You found me, Igor," she whispered, and I realized that it was her, the same voice in the walls. "You came to me. My bedroom door is closed and I can hear someone slowly scratching at it. I know it's her. She wants to come out. She wants to play. And I know she won't stop until she gets me."